What is competition and sustainable differentiation? Competition is the rivalry in business for customers or markets. As a startup entrepreneur, you're aware that competition is part of business. While competition can be lethal for any company, its existence is also necessary for the markets, for technology growth and access by consumers to cost-effective products. Here are some things the academics tell us about competition. Competition educates and creates greater awareness in the market. This is especially relevant if you have a completely new technology or service that the market's not used to. When AT&T commercialized the mobile phone, it had to do a lot of the heavy lifting of educating customers and changing their behavior around this new technology to start communicating on the go. But it really took off when other smaller competitors entered the market. The big gorilla established the technology and the framework for the market. Then the other smaller competitors entered a market where demand had already been started by AT&T, and they accelerated it. Competition increased the market for everyone. When e-commerce entered India in the form of companies like Flipkart, Snapdeal, and Amazon, fierce competition led these companies to go after increasing numbers of customer segments around the country. This combined to contribute to the growth of the overall e-commerce market in India from 3.9 billion USD in 2009 to 30 billion in 2016. Competition also eliminates monopoly and creates a fair market for business as well as customers. IBM, a classic example, held the monopoly in the computing industry. And they guided technology and access, pricing, and the market. They built a big, centralized, expensive computer that could only be accessed and used by computer experts for lots of money. They were what was called fat and happy. Then Apple and Microsoft came along. They offered personal, inexpensive computing to consumers who did not have access to it in the form of IBM. Suddenly, IBM's market was disrupted. Businesses buying from them started eyeing the more affordable New Age computers like the Apple computer and microcomputers based on the Microsoft operating system. Competition made IBM shift and start producing affordable personal computers to compete. As a result, more customers and small businesses had access to computing, and all companies had a fair competing ground. Computers went from being an exclusive, restrictive, expensive tool for the elite to a transformative tool for everyday people. This example also shows how competition drives focus on innovation and customer satisfaction and forces companies to do better each day to survive. So, competition is a necessary evil. It's not something to stop you from innovating, just to put you in the right frame of mind. As a key element of what you need to do in your business, you should constantly be aware of what's going on around you and your product or service that can be competitive, and how to prevent competitors from taking your customers. How can you differentiate your product and business model from others? Remember, this differentiation should be sustainable so that you can continue to differentiate and stay ahead of competition over time as you grow. One of the most important things you need to do as an entrepreneur is to find ways to make your customer tell your competitor the same thing I mentioned to you a minute ago. This company has the product I want. There are a number of ways to do that, some of which work and some are sustainable and some not so much. A huge issue that we see time and again as investors are businesses that look at the market and they become the second or third or nth company doing the same thing. They just add a little better twist. I'm going to do the grocery delivery business, only I'm going to do X or Y differently or better. Or worse yet, they say, I'm going to offer the same service they do, but for less. I have a way to make it less. Just to be clear, 95% of them fail. The startup story of PepperTap's brief success and subsequent shutdown can illustrate this point pretty well. PepperTap, a hyperlocal e-grocery business operated in India, operated in a high competition, low margin market. But it was huge. If they could find a unique niche and sustain themselves, they could make a lot of money and build wealth. But they went for what we call the lowest common denominator. Deep discounts in order to try to capture the market for rapid expansion. It worked for them for a while. After zero profitability and an unsustainably high cash flow, PepperTap was forced to shut down its business. While announcing the shutdown, the co-founder of PepperTap explained the flaw in their business model of deep discounting. It attracted lots of customers, but the more it was successful, the more it lost. He said, losing cash on every order meant one day we would run out of cash. Perhaps we were too slow in the process of coming up with a solution or value or looking at the math. They never did figure out a way to provide value-based competition against the big players, and so joined the hundreds of thousands of great ideas led by smart people and funded with lots of money from smart investors that died. Don't be confused by Silicon Valley and their crazy perspective that you just need to keep growing at all costs and you'll figure out how to make a sustainable business model later. In the real rest of the world, there are not endlessly deep pockets that will fund you on and on while you search for sustainability. Unsustainable differentiation practices like discounting without a clear and unique product or business model will not take you far. Customers will go away as soon as discounts stop, or you may end up just burning through all of your cash before stepping onto that safe, solid financial ground. That's why you should pay particular attention to the Venture Basecamp module on unit economics.